Welcome back to the show, Lily Richards, caught off guard.
Prepared as always.
Prepared. We're here with Lily Richards from Unity Books, of course, and we're talking books, and also we are talking rock bottom because, of course, you are, I guess, could you say curator? You could be a curator of the show.
Yeah, I was thinking I would quite like to call myself a curator. I think we bandied about the term co-directors, myself and Susanna Andrew, but co-curator.
Co-curator is kind of curator.
It's a little bit
co-curator.
Co-curator.
Co-curator. Yeah, I know. Of course, the True Stories Out Loud franchise.
Initiative is the word that I put in there.
I'm perfect. No, McDonald's is an initiative. There's a franchise.
One coming to Hamilton.
Yeah, fantastic. And on Saturday, the show there's a theme every True Stories Out Loud show, and it's rock bottom. So we've been asking you your hashtag rock bottom moments on the app, and you should get them in quick within the time of this interview because we're going to choose them at the end. And you guys could win a double pass. Double pass?
Double pass.
Double pass. You don't want to go alone.
I know how horrible that would go by yourself. That's rock bottom.
I know, that's rock bottom. And you'll be winning a double pass to the show on Saturday out here in Auckland. But anyway, enough about that. We'll talk about that later. Let's talk
books.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a book, and it is called In the Absence of Heroes. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
It's by a New Zealand author, Anthony McCarten.
Good cover.
You like the cover?
I have cover because I have, and I'm sorry, New Zealand publishing industry, but I do have a bit of an issue with New Zealand covers, book covers.
You're alone there.
That's good.
That's
like the first time you hear a New Zealand band, you're like, this sounds international.
Yes, well, it was published in Britain. He did, in fact, move himself and his novel writing to Britain after failing to really kind of get the New Zealand publishing industry kind of interested. I think they published a couple of his earlier books here, but they never took off the way that they did in London. When he moved to London, he reset his first story, which this is a sort of a segue on from, called Death of a Superhero, and he set that originally in New Zealand, so it was like a New Zealand Kiwi family. Then when he moved to the UK, he just kind of repitched it, reformed it for the UK audience. And it's quite interesting reading it as well, so it's the same with this family.
Right.
The first one, Death of the Superhero, was based on a story that he read in, I think it was an Australian newspaper, about a kid who had leukaemia and whose family therapist, I think, helped him commit euthanasia.
Right.
Killed him, is what you might say, but I'm a big fan of euthanasia, so I
big fan of euthanasia.
Killed him.
When I was younger, someone did a speech on euthanasia and intermediate, and I'm like, why are they talking about euthanasia? I was like, that was like the classic 12-year-old thing. I did read about him in the paper actually. Yes,
Anthony McCarten.
Yes, it was very interesting.
Interesting guy. So he's a playwright and a director. He came to fame early on for a play called Ladies' Night, which is apparently still the most successful New Zealand play. But so he sort of read about the story and then he fictionalised it. And he's really good at getting inside people's heads and kind of understanding the human story from the inside out, and in a kind of voyeuristic but gentle way, really prodding into these lives. So the first book, Death of the Superhero, is about the death of this child, and the second one, the one I'm actually reviewing and not currently talking about, In the Absence of Heroes, is about that family, so the boys' family, the Delpe family, but how they cope about a year on down the track after Donnie's death. And you can imagine that they're not in the greatest state of minds. They have one remaining son, Jeff, who I think often in a family there will be a sibling that feels a little less favoured. I would say it's fair to say that Jeff feels...
Middle child.
Yeah. He's the oldest child actually in this, but he's not feeling as loved.
Isn't that oh no, I'm thinking just like East of Eden kind of Cain and Abel. I guess that's based on Cain and Abel as well. But
if there's two of something, you're always going to compare two or more, you know, like that's just our nature.
But that is an interesting dynamic of because I do know of some situations of that where it's a sibling has died.
Yes.
It's this weird kind of almost legacy, but then it's kind of when you build a person up so much, especially when they're young, and you think of almost this weird like potential, and you're like.
Exactly.
How,
they can forever be, you know, prolific and perfect in your mind. They sort of get canonised as well. And grief is something that sort of tends to stop people. So this book really, he observes grief, and that's really interesting. The mother is grieving quite strongly, and she has these wonderful online chats with God, which is an online kind of, like an online, sort of not a search engine, but like a religious program that you can use, and then go on and talk to God, so she talks to God, and then the father sort of loses his mind quite a bit and tries to discover the where his older son is gone, and he's totally disappeared into a virtual world. So a huge portion of this book's about gaming, and yeah, the disparate lives that you can lead between, like the schism between your ability to live a real life and your ability to be kind of like awesome and have epic wins in a virtual life.
You should like the phrase epic wins.
And how appealing that can be.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a really interesting book. I really enjoyed reading it.
Would you recommend reading Death of a Superhero? Is it Death of a Superhero?
Death of a Superhero has gone out of print, so you can find it online in a few places. Yeah. I did actually grab a copy, but I haven't read it, so you can read this as a standalone without having read the initial one.
Sweet, fantastic. Sounds very interesting. Awesome. The Absence of Heroes.
And the Absence of Heroes.
Anthony McCarten. Is it McCarten?
Yeah.
Really good font. I'm sorry, I can't see. I need glasses. I do like that. A mother lost in grief, a son lost online. Can a father find him? I God, Adam says. Is that what it's called? That stuff is the best. What do you mean that stuff is the best? I actually do. You know what I do? I go. There's a site called Omegle on the internet, and it's basically like chat roulette, but only with chat. And you can talk with just completely strangers.
So no genitalia.
No genitalia shown. But I sometimes when I'm like on like up at 3 a.m. and just like for some reason, I don't know, struggling with something, I go and talk to people on Omegle about it.
Does it help?
Yeah, well, I've actually had some really insightful conversations. Like sometimes I'm really interested in what people like think about like death and dying, and so I'll ask them like, are you afraid of death? And for people who start the conversation being like age, sex, location, are you a girl? They actually, it's so weird. It's like they go from these creepy, like faceless online people to people with actual insightful reasons
James, by the way,
as to why they're not afraid of death. It's really, it's a very good experience. And sort of weird. Amigo, classy.
I used to love that about the internet. It was the most exciting thing, just connecting with completely strange people.
Yeah, now we just have to talk to our friends.
No, boo.
Dumb.
Bring back the like message room, the chat rooms at MSN.
MSN message.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to a video and we'll be back and we'll have more of a chat about our hashtag rock bottoms. So get in on the app with your rock bottom moments to be in to win a double pass for the show on Saturday. What are we going to go to?
We're going to go to Circles by She's So Rad.